Okay, takeaway. Do I use my hands? Do I use my feet, my hips, my chest? Do I pick it up with my wrists? What do I do? I'm going to show you that my pinky, this little finger here, is going to do all the work I need it to do to have a very simple, repeatable, effective takeaway that gets me where I need to be every time without thinking about it too much. Let's show you how. Simplifying the takeaway is only going to do good things for your golf game, but being able to set the club correctly without too much manipulation or having to reorganize it too much is only going to help as well. So with the takeaway, you can definitely have variables. You can definitely be more on the inside. You can take it on the outside, but I just want to help you have a repeatable movement. And it all comes down to this little guy and the pressure that we are applying to the grip when we first start the swing. So if I show you here, what happens is if I'm just holding the grip normally, and you're not going to see any pressure change in the fingers here. But if I take the club away and I don't apply pressure to the pinky finger, what can happen is as I move the club away, the club can sort of tend to do this a little bit. It's going to move on that direction, which pulls it on the inside. And then we're like, heck, I've really got to hinge up. So it feels like a very artificial movement. And that can feel awkward. But there's an easier way that if we take the club, and if I show you, like pretty much just leaving these last two fingers on here, the pinky finger, and you can see, I'm allowing the club to fall and heavy. It's sort of being pulled out my hands. But what I'm doing is applying pressure and squeezing with my pinky finger. And look what happens when I'm squeezing with my pinky finger, okay? The club raises up. Raising up means that it's hinging up. So on my takeaway, the club is hinging up. But it's not my wrists that are doing it. It's the pressure that I'm applying down into the grip, the butt of the club. So I'm tipping the club up that way, but I'm not having to actively think about hinging the wrists, because what can happen is when we try and really sort of hinge the wrists, we do it a bit too early, then we end up casting it that way. So it can be something like that. Having this feeling of when we're taking the grip and feeling the weight of the club and feeling like a little bit loose. We're holding it with the thumb and forefinger, we're bracing it there, but we've got the club along the finger line, but I'm applying the pressure. And before I start the swing, I'm actually allowing the club to sort of fall down a little bit, all right? It's falling down, like sinking down, almost coming a little bit loose out of my hand. I'm allowing the grip to come a little bit loose, ever so slightly. But the start of my swing is going to be applying the pressure to those lower fingers. And as I do that, the club tips up, it stays in front, and we're hinging it on the correct sort of plane, if you will. So now I can finish my swing and the club is supported. It's not being pulled behind me too much here. I'm not having to manipulate. And the only thing I've done is, yes, I've wound up my body, but I've applied pressure and squeezing those last two fingers to tip that club up. And every single time it's going to repeat this takeaway, and you can see a nice, neat halfway position. And that's how I'd probably want you to practice this at first. You can do little chip shots or pitch shots, but take your setup, apply that squeeze, just feeling like we're applying the pressure and squeezing it to allow that club to tip up, and then we swing through. That is so repeatable. It's really going to simplify your takeaway. Now, I can demonstrate, I can go on and on and on, but I want you to grab a club and try this and start feeling what happens when you apply pressure here to allow that club to hinge and tip upwards. And then you just keep feeling how it applies to your swing, so you never have to worry about the takeaway again. Keep rehearsing it, keep building it into your full swing routine, and you will start to not have to think about it as much and concentrate on the important things, which is sending the ball where you want it to go. Now, if you still have problems with your takeaway, we need to show you a way that gives you better momentum, so you're not static, so you're not struggling to start. You combine this with this lesson, you are going to be in a really good place. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.